next expert in the house, we have Kiltesh Patel, founder and CEO of Tab 32. Basically, his bio is that he's been doing technology, I think, since about 10 years before he was born. Amazing mind, had lots of opportunities to interact with Kiltesh over the years. He's led several large-scale NIH-funded projects at the San Diego Supercomputer Center. He's got MapQuest, AOL, everything in the background. Kiltesh, I warned you, I'm coming out swinging here. And by the way, any questions you guys have for Kiltesh, feel free to put them in the chat. But Kiltesh, when are we finally going to get enterprise level software that solves all the problems the DSOs need them solved, but bring the charting and all the unique things that the clinicians want and need, all the doctor's notes and billing and all of those fun things, but it also can handle in the cloud the X-ray images, right? The size of the images. And it's got a back end that you can tap into, pull out what you need, get your financial information, and so on and so forth. When are we finally going to see an enterprise level piece of software in the cloud, DSO level enterprise thinking? When is this day finally coming?
So the good news, Ken, and thank you for the introduction. Good news today is that it is here. Do you see the logo behind me?
What?
Do you see the logos behind me? Those are some of the biggest DSOs that we have just started onboarding. And our platform technology that we've built today has 4 tenets, basically. One, patient first approach. Every one of us wants to give that experience, and Gary was talking about also to some degree today. How do you deliver that experience? And that's, through patient first and the tools and technology that we have built through. The part 2 of that is the comprehensiveness of the solution. So other part that we've built out is that from a day-to-day operations perspective for a dental practice, you not only need to communicate digitally with your patients, but also, manage your radiographs, manage your clinical documentation and charting, and obviously scheduling and all those other good stuff that brings in patients, right? So all of those modules have been addressed in our enterprise platform for the DSOs. So it's quite comprehensive. And one of the most important part of this is that, so far within the cloud space, it has been a black box. And what I mean by that is the data. Data to learn and data for insights is critical. Tab 32 is the first platform that brings data to your foot door. And what I mean by that is we have a complete data warehouse solution that you can SQL, just like any in-prem software that you might have. You can log in, write your SQL queries and whatnot to learn. And having that power at your fingertip is extremely important for a growth, to know your numbers and to come out ahead in terms of efficiencies. So that's number 3. And then the innovation, which is where we are stepping further and differentiating ourselves in the space, is that since we have discovered the power of data and big data and our background with the data to leverage that, now is the time, next 6 months, you will see a lot of machine learning, truly machine learning. I'm not talking about business intelligence. We have already addressed the business intelligence, but we are talking about computer vision, machine learning, and all the things around that we have been talking to create those great efficiencies and growth for the practices is what going to come around. So that's what I would say, in and all, that these are the 4 key pillars that our platform, practice management platform is built, and it is here now that you need. Even the things that you were having earlier, the things like accounting, things like asset management, things like black box of your telephone systems, how do you really discover those information? Those are all being addressed in this particular platform of how do you really open up those data for better insights.
All right, so I got to push on this. Those are a lot of bold claims. So you're telling me that out of the practice management software, I can pull all of the financial information I need in a consolidated format with eliminating entries so I can see what's happening globally at my DSO and then break it down so I can see each practice.
Absolutely. So the way our data warehouse technology works is that you have an executive level reports at a very high level of what your productions or what your collections are. Besides that, you can have at regional level where your regional managers are managing, and then obviously you have at an office level. All those tiers for a DSOs are critical because to some extent, these are quite different in the way that decisions are being made when you are growing the DSO, and you need to know these numbers, and that's exactly what we have done. And all your financial informations from the practice management, even we are going ahead and connecting the Sage for an accounting or a QuickBook for an accounting to pull those data in as well. So it gives you a more comprehensive picture and you have better data insights coming.
Okay, so I want to keep drilling in on this.
Right.
One of the weaknesses in practice management software today is that depending on what report I choose to run, it defines patient visit, it defines production, it defines those things differently. And so I can run within seconds of each other different reports, and by having a few different settings, I can get completely different answers. How is your, and that's one of the weaknesses, and that's why so many of us have had to build workarounds, and it's why companies exist to do workarounds within the existing software. And let me give a little more background, because the challenge we have is there's a lot of interesting technology out there to view your dental information, but none of them are actually defining the columns clearly, what they mean, how those numbers are derived, so that everybody who's looking at it knows what they're looking at and they're not questioning what is it and running different reports that give different sets of information. How are you guys solving that and addressing that?
Right. So let me take a step back to answer that question, Ken. So with my background in medical for long, we had a common model of information that one used to pass from one person to another, that the meaning would be retained. And the model that we used to use in the medical side of it was derived through HL7, which is FHIR. And that's what primarily used in the medical side of it. Coming to the dental for last 7-8 years, that model has been missing. And that model basically helps you to derive those meanings, define those meanings, so it doesn't change from a person to person what that number really means. So what we have come up with is something that we are calling it a standard model. And we have created that standard model that your system might be in-premise system, and it could be any flavor of any software, or it could be a Tab32, our native software. This standard model is going to define and provide that information, so meanings doesn't change from person to person. And we are about to release that even globally, so that it can help other DSOs who are not on our platform. And we are more than happy to release that as well for a lot of people, so that, this reports that we are talking about, right? Reports is just one layer that you can, that you are trying to peel off, right? But if it's an onion, there are multiple layers to peel off. And how does your machine learning algorithm works when your meaning of the data point itself changes, right? How do you really build that? So that is where, this standard model will come into play. And that's the answer to this thing that you're asking me. And we got that, and we are going to provide that to the community as well very shortly.
Awesome. Do you see anybody else coming up with this same technology, or is everybody behind where you're at least at this point?
So I haven't seen that in dental. Probably
I haven't either, to be clear.
Right. And it requires a lot of work and a lot of understanding across all the legacy systems that exist out there. I'll tell you that we have done 500 plus migrations from various in-premise systems over the last 3 to 4 years. And we understand the data that, what it takes to get that. And that's why we are able to. So it's a lot of learning that has gone into to build the standard model that where we are. And it's not an easy that you can just look at it and build out of it, right? It's a lot of learning because a lot of systems are designed in a traditional way, non-traditional way. Ledgers are different, even in the in-premise systems versus cloud systems, or even within in-premise systems like Dentrix, Eaglesoft, whatnot. So what we have done is learned and developed that expertise to build this model that would address all of those issues.
Outstanding. Kiltesh, appreciate you being on this expert panel today. Great job.